Alright, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is Doodle Review, the channel that's willing to talk about any genre from German reggae to proto, post-punk, electro, body, EDSM, whatever. I'm willing to talk about that stuff, but today we're talking about singer-songwriter Sufjan Stevens. Sufjan Stevens' Javelin is the latest new record from a notable artist I've always meant to listen to, but never have. It seems this year there's been a run of these sort of releases, all adding to a bit of a coincidental theme on this channel. First it was Sparkle Horse, then Wilco, then Animal Collective, and now Sufjan Stevens, all really acclaimed US indie artists from the past 20 or so years that I've always made a mental note that I need to come back to, but just end up getting sidetracked with new releases. Well, I tell a slight lie there, because the planets did almost align for me to become a Sufjan fan in 2021, adding what was his new record at the time, Convocations, to my to listen to pile, only to find that it was a 5-disc ambient experimental project. I did actually delve into that collection and wrote up on it at the time. The set I found wasn't sonically revolutionary, but you could definitely feel the emotional weight. It being a project started after the death of Stephen's father, you could definitely feel the weight, the gravity of that experience throughout the collection. Each disc felt like it represented a different stage of going through trauma or grief, ultimately finding peace on the second to last entry, Celebration, and maybe even a new sense of motivation on the final disc, Incantation. Although I did appreciate Convocations, given the complete departure from the singer-songwriter style he'd become acclaimed for, I didn't feel I could really say I was now inducted into the Sufjan Stevens canon. While that wasn't the time for that to happen, Stevens' fantastic song Chicago seems to periodically make its presence felt in my life and provides a reminder that I will have to once again revisit his catalogue. But this year presented the proper opportunity to do so with Javelin, a full-length alternative folk album that very much features the artist in the role of singer-songwriter. And similarly to Convocations, sees him utilising his gift to work through grief and real struggle. On the day of its release, Stevens, in a public statement, dedicated Javelin to his late partner Evans Richardson, who had passed away earlier in the year. The sorrow was palpable within that very touching tribute, but it appears the songwriter was not just working through a crazy emotional turmoil, but physical too. He revealed a month or so later that he'd also been diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, and while clearly overcoming the worst, he was now relearning how to walk as part of his recovery. And I learned all of this after having already spent time with the album, so my own empathy and heartbreak for what Stevens must have or must still be going through didn't actually colour my initial perception of the record. But going through my notes in retrospect, it's clear he was able to convey an emotional truth with Javelin that I think makes an impression even without you being privy to his private life. And I say that because throughout my notes I'm continuously drawing comparisons to Paul Simon's Graceland. You know, as soon as that harsh metal percussion bursts through in the second half of Goodbye Evergreen, or you hear the chimes and choir vocal melodies on A Running Start, it's the first thought or first note I keep making: Graceland. However, the reason I say that the emotional truth is present is because in those notes, while I'm making the connection to that touchstone Paul Simon record, I kept also writing that there's an air over this that gives Javelin a different aura. Obviously, despite drawing on the same sonic textures, and I didn't know about what he was going through at the time, and I think that vibe I was referring to in hindsight is the melancholy that accompanies grief and struggle. Specifically, it's the melancholy of an older, more mature person, as Sufjan is at 48, where experiences of loss and illness are not shared with the world is ending despair. They're conveyed with an acceptance of the universal truth that comes after living life for a while, that the world will actually keep on going. Whatever you've lost, whatever you're going through, whatever your pain, the earth is just going to keep turning. And that quiet, almost enlightened acceptance is something not even necessarily conveyed in the language. I find it in the intonation, in the soul of Sufjan's delivery. Will Anybody Ever Love Me, the album's standout song, if you ask me, in the hands of someone 20 years younger, the lyrics to that song might be sung with a kind of crippling woe is me depression, but coming from Stevens in 2023, it sounds more like a genuine question. It's no less affecting and powerful, but it just feels like a pragmatic question rather than a moment of self-pity, which I think lends the track a really unique perspective. While the emotional perspective of this record does resonate with me, on a musical and production level, Javelin isn't entirely a listening experience that aligns with my personal taste. There's a texture to the way Stephen's vocals are produced that I can't decide if I like or not, and I think it's because at certain points I genuinely enjoy the warbled, kind of delicate, multi-tracked but maybe not style, and other points it feels too conspicuous and overdone that it takes me out of the song. And sometimes I feel both of those things on the same track, like Everything That Rises. The instrumental palette of this record also seems to toy with an almost historic, rural, kind of agrarian sensibility. I don't even know if that's the right word, I had to look it up to be honest, but I just mean that there are certain points here where I feel like I'm stepping into a Renaissance fair, as with, you know, genuflecting Ghost and My Red Little Fox, which to be honest could be used in a Shrek-like Enchanted Forest type film. The album does change things up with So You Are Tired, which is a beautiful piano-based track and an instrument that's again used to great effect on the title track, and Shit Talk, a long, expansive track that lyrically I think wrestles with what I discussed earlier, the idea of a kind of acceptance of the tribulations of life rather than a fight against them, but also trying to understand if that is a weakness or the right path. Closing out, there's a cover of the Neil Young song There's a World, which takes what was originally kind of an ostentatious, quite dark piano and orchestral arrangement on the Young record and refreshes it with a very light and uplifting finger-picked track that is a great way to end this record. Overall, this is an album I could see someone giving a perfect score. It's emotional with a unique, while still moving, perspective and lush instrumentals. But the detours into that kind of almost middle-aged historic aesthetic prevent me from personally really locking in, and I can't deny its beauty, but I would give it a 7 out of 10. Thanks for listening to me chat fraff about this record though. Nothing's free. There is a price to that review. You just got to press subscribe, or tell me what you think at least in the comments below. Was I right? Was I on point? What did you think of the album? Have you heard it yet? What was your favourite track? You know, show some love or share some thoughts or hurl some abuse in the comments below. And I've also listed a bunch of other videos that you might find interesting below. Okay, cheers mate, bye.